refuse to stay the fool. You can break my heart, but you can't break me. I'm rising up, I'm reaching out, I'm soaring free. I'm soaring free. I am the phoenix, rising up from flame and ashes. I will rebuild the world while everyone else crashes. You have the matches, you have the flame. You can light this world on fire, but I will rise again. I am the phoenix, watch me rise again. Living homeless in a place where I share all the space. I'm grateful for what I've got, but it challenges me a lot. Like finding a place to meet clients so I can get off the street. I've got no money in the bank, can't even put gas in the tank. Walking everywhere in the heat leaves me sweaty, not sweet. I'm striving to do better, it's true, but I don't always know what to do. I've got all this value inside me, but it's not always so easy to help other people see I'm a walking golden opportunity. Today's a new opportunity to change our current society. The help you get today can get things on their way. I don't want a handout, that's not what I'm about. I just need a hand up, a little love to fill my cup. I'm a writer, an artist, and a designer, copywriter, marketer, trainer, and planner. My list of skills runs miles long. You're wondering where I went wrong. I'm in a love-hate relationship with society. I love people, but I don't find it funny the way we value each other by our money. I wish more people could see and agree. Today's a new opportunity to change our current society. The help you get today can get things on their way. I'm not blaming anyone for my choices. Blaming anyone is pointless. I rejected the corporate plantations here, choosing my child's life over my career. I made my fair share of mistakes. I'm no saint, for heaven's sake. I admit I've missed a lot of opportunities due to my fears and insecurities. But my current financial condition is at least in part due to my mission to put people over profits in life, accepting that this will cause me strife. Today's a new opportunity to change our current society. The help you get today can get things on their way. I've spent decades searching for truth, breaking free of lies I believed in my youth. I'm no longer eager to participate in a system designed to discriminate. I guess what I'm trying to communicate is that this doesn't have to be our fate. Our greatest investment is in one another, valuing each person as a sister or brother. Each person is a gold mine of opportunity. If you know how to find it, it's easy to see. We can end a system of monetary slavery. Working together, we can all be free. Today's a new opportunity to change our current society. The help you get today can get things on their way. Let's create a human development investment group. Working together, we can begin to recoup the value of each member of society, so we can all achieve prosperity. Real estate brings profits, true, but there are limits to what it can do. And it leaves people homeless too. Real estate value can only grow when people have money to show. Infinite possibilities exist inside every human, though they hide. It takes a little effort to find, but once you do, it'll blow your is your opportunity to change our society. The help you give today can get things on their way.
Yes, indeed. All right, let me get this up there. My webcam. Hello. Hopefully it'll start showing me instead of everything else. There we go. Ah, yes. And my bra strap. Beautiful. So classy, so elegant. Don't mind me, darling. That's my latest fashion, defying the fashion. So welcome to tonight's show of Real Talk. That's right. We're going to talk about real stuff, real life, real thoughts with real people. One of the reasons that I started this is that there's so much inauthenticity and superficiality in the world, and I just wanted to create a place for people to kick back, relax, and be themselves. And that includes me, because, you know, you're going to meet the real me every Thursday. No fakery, no putting on airs. You can see the mess in my background, and I'm not worried about that. Because my life is somewhat of a mess. It's definitely a work in progress. We've had updates since last week. I did, in fact, land the tourism coordinator position in Morris, Minnesota. So that is, in fact, where we are going to be going, which is really kind of exciting. I'm already starting to reach out and make contacts and connections with the people in that community to kind of develop plans and strategies for how I can bring more people to Morris. Kind of getting to know the people. We did find a place that we want to rent. He likes it better if there's a lease. We like it better. He's had some people consider it, but they don't want to lease long term. They want it for maybe a couple of months. So we may be in the preferential running. We don't see your biggest mess. You're not on camera. You are not my biggest mess. Oh, good grief. I am my biggest mess. I am my own biggest mess. That is a fact. I cope well, so I present well, but all the mess. Now, I did get a package today from a good friend of mine who lives in Florida. Yay! She and I have been in talks. You know, she asked me to help her convert some of her favorite things, shark's teeth, into some works of art. And I have agreed to do that for her as a way of paying her back for kindness showed to us when we were in need. And so that is what this is a little bunch of Ziploc baggies full of shark's teeth. Ooh, and that one's got a hole in the bottom, so I gotta be careful with it. Yeah. So just regular shark's teeth. And we're gonna turn these little teeth into works of art. That's a project that I've got to work on over the next 6 weeks or so. Hey, Sam! Good to see you. How you doing this evening? This evening? Yeah, we're making new words apparently. How are we doing this evening? We are doing good. Just waiting on the formal offer letter. Yes, you do like gloves. I remember you from last week. And no, I still don't have any gloves, Sam. No plastic gloves, rubber gloves, cleaning gloves, surgical gloves, or disposable gloves. I should get some. We're going to be going to a really much colder place. Morris, Minnesota is much colder than here because it's much closer to Canada. So it gets even closer to the Arctic than Des Moines, Iowa does. Let's see what the distance is. Morris, Minnesota to Canada. It's about a 5-hour drive, so it actually takes less time. I know, you told me last week that you like to stay and watch when people wear gloves, whether they're disposable, plastic, rubber, cleaning gloves, surgical gloves on both hands. Unfortunately, I don't have them. I don't have them, buddy. So, yeah, it's 4 to 5 hours to get to Canada from Morris, which means it's actually closer to Canada than it is to Des Moines. We went up there last week for my interview, for my in-person interview, and everything went very well there. And within an hour of me leaving, they called to let me know that I had the position. I'm still waiting for the formal offer letter. And at any rate, we are excited about the move, excited about the new opportunities, and are working on, getting our foot in there, getting started off on the right place. We're probably going to end up leaving behind most of the furniture we've collected. It's not a big deal to do that. Most of it we got for free. We found it at curbs and stuff like that. So it's not a huge deal to leave behind the furniture and start over. I'll probably leave it with our son if he wants it. And then we have an antique table that was given to my mom by my aunt, and that my mom wants back if we decide not to keep it. We will probably also leave that with my son if he wants it. I doubt we'll end up transporting it to Morris. It's just, even though it's an antique, it needs help. It needs work. And it might become in even worse shape if we did try to transport it. So, most of what we're going to do is get rid of stuff. And, so that's where we're at, paring down, looking through old journals, transcribing those journal entries into stuff. And we are definitely getting rid of things as we need to, paring things down. We're gonna, yeah, if you get a bigger vehicle and you get back, you'll pick one up. Yeah, it's always possible. I'm not too worried about it. We're gonna be fine. God always provides, no matter what. He provides, and I have no doubt that he's gonna provide this time too. I mean, heck, he provided the furniture we have. We didn't pay for any of it. We found it all, and so that's probably how things are largely gonna go. We may end up purchasing, just because I do kind of want to turn wherever we are into a community hub. Basically having little studies and get-togethers there and getting to know the community members, and having a decent place and a space to do that is nice. We got pictures of the place that we're considering renting today, so that was nice. Yeah, the one cart will break that down and take probably. Maybe. Yeah. We'll figure that out. Cross that bridge when we come to it. As of right this second, we won't be leaving until we secure a place. So we don't have the funding to do that. So if you can help with that, I did put the GoFundMe up. Where did I put my phone? Oh, my phone is in my pocket. It keeps giving me notifications, and it's kind of annoying. So I need to take it out of my pocket and put it on quiet. Shut up mode. Yeah. It's definitely gonna be a different place to be in when we get there. Um, I will respond back to that person's message tonight because it's about the rental, but I'll wait until we get off stream to do it. But at any rate, um, yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where we're excited about what's going to happen and how we're going to put it all together, and looking forward to getting started on work. It's we've been quite a few times out of work, so yeah, if we decided to throw the computers closed and needed creative stuff and go, he'd be okay with that. Yeah, I'm sure you would, babe. My husband is the kind of person who would like to throw everything out the door. He would rather not pack anything than just go. I am, on the other hand, not that way. So that's one area where we are different. But that's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to have differences. That's what makes life more interesting. So, we've got like a bookshelf, 2 bookshelves, a rolling utility cart, a coffee table, 2 night tables, and 2 of those plastic shelving things that they're not worth really anything. And then we've got 4 or 5 tubs around the house. Yes, see, I know. I understand that it's work walking up and down the stairs. I get that. I get it's work. But it's okay. That's, like I said, that's where he and I differ. I would rather do the work. And, you know, I get not wanting to do it too. But you do get tired after a while. Butt, legs, the whole thing. I'm going to take a moment. Okay, there we go. So I just told him, he was asking when we would need it or be in town, and I said, we will not need it until next weekend. So that's just facts. 'Cause yeah, next weekend, the 27th, is the 31st is our absolutely get out of here date. The 1st of April is a Wednesday, so probably won't need it until then. But yeah. And this week has been an interesting week in the world, definitely. But every week's an interesting week in the world. Always something going on. I think the best thing we can do for each other is to just be nice, be kind to one another, love one another, do what we can to take care of one another. That's how things really get going. And that's how life improves, if we all take care of one another. That's my philosophy in life and in the world. Let's see, what else is going on in the magnificent world of Brandy? Not that there's that much going on. I am going to be attending 2 speaking conferences, two conferences, speaking at them. I'll be speaking at the Independent Book Publishers Association Publishing University 2025, March 14th through the 19th, or 14th, 15th, 16th. Yeah, that weekend anyway. Thursday through that Saturday. And then I will also be speaking and that's in Portland, Oregon. And then I'll also be speaking in Chicago at the end of that month at the Catholic Writers Conference on marketing. The first conference is about grants and how to secure grants, funding, and other opportunities for those who want to publish books, but they maybe don't have the money to pull out of their pocket straight away, and they need to know how to get access to that funding. So that's kind of looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of travel, but it's also a good opportunity to promote the city. So go about, network with people who might be able to make a difference. Maybe see if I can't get on the radio and promote Morris while I'm there. Hey, Boomer! Yeah, they are some crazy cities, aren't they? Isn't it weird how all the big conferences happen in some of the craziest cities? Like, you would think they would pick someplace, I don't know, less crazy? But I didn't pick the places. I just happened to be going to them. And, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be all fine. Yeah. Actually, most of the time, the news highlights the worst of the worst and not the best of the best. So, less than 1%. If you think about what appears on the news, it's like less than 1% of the things that happen. Probably 1 out of 1,000 of the things that are actually happening. Hey, Aaron, not too much. I'm just talking about life. And so you've never missed much. Never missed much. But remember that the news, whatever they talk about on the news, that's like, how many people live in Portland? Let's talk about that for a second. How many people live in Portland, Oregon? Just to catch you up to speed, Aaron, I'm going to be presenting in Portland in the middle of May. Okay, so there are 635,000 people that live in Portland, Oregon. The people that make it on the news are less than 1/1000th of the people that live in that city. You're talking about infinitely smaller amounts of people causing problems than the population itself. Most people are perfectly nice. Most people are very good. Yes, we are moving to Minnesota. No, I didn't say you were wrong about how to do it. I said that you have preferences that aren't the same as mine. Ubi's the kind of person who likes to toss everything and not have to move anything and just go. Me, I'm a little bit more of a pack rat and I like to hold on to things. And I like to keep things for sentimental value and other value. So I hate throwing out everything to move. It's hard for me to pare down, but I also understand that the costs are prohibitive. Like, our costs to move from here to Texas, from Texas to here, the moving van costs us $1,500. That's a lot of money when you don't have any, especially, and when it's somebody else paying for it, even more still. That's money that could have been better spent elsewhere on other things. So, yeah, 35 years ago you played it was an art city and the people were chill and you played in the clubs back then. But like I said, it's easy to judge a city by the news that you see reported. But you have to kind of remember that, like, that's a very tiny fraction of the people in that city. I am happy, actually. We've gotten a lot of, positive news, I got the job as tourist coordinator in Morris, Minnesota, so I will be employed. Randy will be employed. We found a place to live. The guy seems quite interested in having us there. And yeah, well, that's true. A lot of things we moved during that $1,500 move wasn't worth $1,500. It's true. A lot of those are things that I kept. And, you know, and it's because of it's sentimental mostly. I grant you. But that's part of me being me. So there. I like to hang on to things, you like to get rid of them. And as such, we make a pretty good partnership. Because you forced me to get rid of and let go of things I wouldn't otherwise let go of. And I hold on to things because I know that eventually they're going to be useful, and usually I'm right, and they come in handy right when you need them. So it tends to work out in the long run. But yes, I agree. Moving that stuff, the van we rented was way more van than we needed. Guitars are sentimental, exactly. Thank you, thank you. No, I would never ask him to get rid of those guitars. I would make room for the guitars before I asked him to get rid of those babies. For one thing, those are part of the love that the community has showered on him. And tossing those, yeah, no. Even selling them feels a little bit wrong. I would more want to give them to people in the community that needed them if we were going to have to. Of course, we'd have to come up with shipping money for that, but it would be worth it to me to give them to people in the community. But yeah, so we've had good news come our way. It looks like we're closer, one step closer to finding a good place to live. It's in a price range we can afford. The property owner seems pretty glad that we'll be in there. He's had another couple look at it, but they didn't really want a long-term lease. They wanted it for a couple of months because they want to buy a house. Well, we eventually want to buy a house too, but we know that we have to work on our credit. We have to get things improved before we're really ready for that stage. And we'd like to have money saved up so we're not walking into it with nothing. And yeah, at the very least, I haven't even looked at it. I mean, we could possibly... $1 rent for the first month in climate controlled storage, and then, let's see, $213 a month, $203 a month, $23 a month. There we go. 5 by 5 would be $23 a month, and $1 gets you in, and that would work. We could do that. So, I mean, it's not much. Yeah, we're happy to do a year in a 3 or 4 bedroom. Very happy. And yes, shipping has gotten crazy. 97 shipping and 77 import taxes. Yeah, if you're shipping international, oof, yikes. I would not want to be you right now. Anybody trying to do business internationally is going to get pounded. Whew. Lordy. Yeah. So... it's just, there's a lot going on in our lives and a lot changing for the better. And it's kind of exciting. And a 1 or 2, yeah, I'd rather it be 6 months max. Because we really have, what we really want is to have 3 bedrooms minimum, 4 bedrooms ideal. Because what we'd like is to have a bedroom where he could use it for a studio, I could use one for a studio. And then we could have guests in that 4th bedroom so that we get the computers. Because my preference is that we not have electronics in the bedroom. I hate having computers, laptops, cell phones in the bedroom because it just messes with your sleep habits, messes with your sleep patterns. And we want the space to have our own place and our own spaces to do the work we do. So that we're not jostling into each other or getting bumped into each other. And yeah, and a guest room would be awesome. So like when Mia comes, we could have a place to give her. Now, obviously, we'll also probably put a hide-a-bed in the front room, so that way, whoever's with her has a place to stay too, or if we happen to have out-of-town guests that, that we don't have a bedroom for, we can put them up or something. But yeah, nice boomer. 4-bedroom with an office, studio, gym, and a bedroom. Yep, that's kind of the ideal. Um, like I said, and then after a year of saving up and living below our means, because this is significantly below our means. After a year of saving up and living below our means, then we can maybe afford to buy our own place, get our credit straightened out, and actually buy our first home, because we are first-time home buyers, and it would be nice. We don't really want to do a bunch of moving around. That's not our goal in life. So, a lot of positive things are on the horizon. I'm going to miss my granddaughter. I'm going to miss the daily interaction with her, but they're getting her into childcare. She starts Monday, and so that'll give me a week to kind of prep up everything. Right, exactly. Yeah, my office or studio is the dead center. It's the right as you walk in the door. My table, my computer, my workstation is right there. So every time somebody comes in the door, I get interrupted. I've got no sound buffering, which is why my sound is kind of hinky. I've got, nothing to protect my content or anything. Like I said, you guys are seeing my mess. It's hard for me to do any staging. And I really want to change that. I really want to improve that. You only need one device in the bedroom. Yeah, well, Me, I don't want any electronic devices in the bedroom. Nothing artificial for me. And that's why it's real talk. No artificial talk here. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to, is having a dedicated space where I can create, where I can broadcast, where I can decorate to my heart's content. And that's one of the things I figured out, is that, you don't need to, when you're living in somebody else's place, of course, you don't want to put a bunch of holes in the wall. You want to make sure that you're respectful of space and stuff. And sometimes that means, getting creative. And one of the things I realized is that if I create art and then I upload it to Spoonflower, I can create peel and stick art by printing it on the peel and stick wallpaper. Yeah, exactly. It would be nice to get me set up in a room where the sound treatment would allow my vocals to come through cleaner and clearer than they do now. And I'd also like to have the finances to get an upgraded computer, because my computer, man, it is giving me continuous alerts about how little memory it has. And yes, this is partly my fault, because I am a keep everything girl. So some of that is my fault. I grant that. But I'd like to invest in a bigger hard drive for the main drive, and a bigger hard drive for the backup drive, for the storage drive. So I'd like 4 terabytes on the main drive, and then 12 on the storage. And I think that would do me for a good long while. And then maybe invest in an upgraded graphics card too, and get back with time, get back into game dev. You have your older brother in your basement, his daughter in one bedroom, your youngest daughter in another bedroom, and your wife and I in the master 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, full unfinished basement. That's nice. Yeah. It's nice. Yeah, the house we were looking at last week, that was $57,500. I talked to the guy who owned it, who owns it currently, and the reason it was listed at that price is because They had flooding last July, and they got 31 inches of water in his basement, and it crumbled the wall. Two of the walls actually have breakthrough to the exterior, so they have clear tarps over them to protect them, but there's definite breakage. And yeah, it was 57,500, but the repairs on it would be about 200,000. And the sad thing is, their insurance company didn't cover any of it, refused to, called it an act of God, if you will. And so he couldn't afford to keep up his mortgage payment. And he's now behind by $7,000. And then on top of that has $700 a month in mortgage to keep up with. He was willing to consider a lease to own, but mostly wanted out from under the mortgage. And there's probably, I'm not going to say there's no way we could have raised $7,000. You know, God can do anything, but I really don't see us raising that kind of money as quickly as it would take. He was going to finish up the short sale this week. That was why it was listed at all. It's because the mortgage company required him to list it for that amount before they would agree to the short sale, which kind of stinks because you know the guy's getting hosed. Yeah, and it's not livable. If it were livable at all, I could have pushed through and maybe made it work, but it's not. He said. And I can understand why. With the basement walls having had that impact, I'm guessing it caused structural problems. So the upper floors are probably not safe. And, you know, the amount of money that it would take to repair, we don't have those kind of connections formed yet. And so, you know, bottom line is, it's not for us. There is a house there that's $89,900, but it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with also an unfinished basement. But like I said, when Ubi and I got to talking about it and looking at our credit scores and thinking about long term, while yes, we might be able to get that house, it's just better right now for us to do a lease to own. Or not a lease to own, but a lease, and save up and get ourselves in a position where we can put a sizable down payment down on a place, and we don't have to settle for something. We can just outright get the one we want. And, you know, maybe even get a large lot and build on it. I don't know. We'll see. But that's where we are with all that stuff. And, oh yeah. Your credit, yeah, his credit's okay, but it's lean. He's got basically an empty file. My credit is actually below 600, so I definitely have work to do to fix it. With our being in the positives in terms of income, this is like the first time in our life that we'll be making basically 5 times the amount of rent. And so actually, come to think of it, 6 times the amount of rent. So the rent is not going to eat through almost any of our income, and we should be able to build up, get out of debt completely, and just really get ourselves in a good solid position. Because I'm a big fan of what St. Paul said, is that we should owe nothing to anyone except the love of Christ. And that's something I really kind of, I believe in adhering to the greater degree possible. I'm grateful that we were able to buy the car that we bought with cash, that we didn't need to borrow, except from, you know, our son in a temporary situation. And yes, the Lord does work in a lot of really mysterious ways. I actually, one of the reasons I keep my journals is because I document my prayers and then I go back and I look at how amazing the way he's answered our prayers in totally unexpected ways, not on our timeline, not the way we set up for him, but definitely answered them. And in fact, one of the things I am putting together is a book called Breaking Open Abundance. And it's what abundance really means for those who are believers. It's not about money. This is where everybody gets it wrong. Almost everybody is they think it's about money. Like if God says, I came that you might have life and that more abundantly. And the immediate thing for most of us, and it was for me originally, is to think, well, that means we're going to have more money. Not necessarily, because your greatest wealth isn't in your bank account, it's in your connections. It's in the people who know you, who know what you can do, who know that you care about them, and who are willing to partner with you to make bigger things happen so that everybody gets blessed. That's abundance. You may not even have to pay for a thing if you have adequate abundance, except in terms of having formed a relationship with somebody. And so a lot of times we're over here trying to use money as the only hammer in our arsenal. And God's over there going, hey, you know, there are other ways to get things done. I'm just saying. And he's definitely shown me over the years, over and over and over again, that solutions come from relationships, not from what you got in the bank account. And that the bank account is kind of a substitute for having to form relationships. And actually, it can be a hindrance to it. And I'll explain why. Money is a metric for measuring just two things and two things only. The first thing is how much trust that you've earned that you can deliver a given result. And the second thing it measures is how much commitment the other party has to getting the results you can deliver. The higher their commitment, the greater their willingness to sacrifice what they've got to gain it. The more trust they have that you can deliver that result, the more they're willing to sacrifice to get it. More confident they are when you ask for a sacrifice, right? Now, what happens is if somebody doesn't, you can deliver the best results in the world. Like you could be the best dentist in the whole wide world. And somebody who doesn't have an abscessed tooth or doesn't need a root canal isn't going to pay you to get one. It doesn't matter how skilled you are. They have zero commitment to getting those results. So you could be the best. You could charge only $1 and be the best, and they still won't pay you. So the two things have to be in play at the same time, the trust and the commitment. Exactly. It's not our money anyway. Yeah, I made a lady really, really mad one time because I was telling her, I was sitting there at the table saying that we are all poor in spirit. We are all impoverished individuals because technically everything that we have comes from God and belongs to him. And so none of it's really ours. We're just put in charge of using it. She got so mad. She's like, you sound just like my parents. And you sound just like my parents and my these other people that told me that I didn't really deserve all the stuff that I've got. I'm like, okay. You can be angry about it, but I'm just telling you this is what God has told me. And so anyway, she was so mad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have financially very little, but such a wealth of skills and talents and gifts to give to others that there's no excuse for not stepping up to serve. And so that's one of the reasons why we both have channels. We serve in the capacity that we're capable of serving. Yep, exactly. And Ubi's been very generous with his knowledge and the stuff that he's had, so that we do give back to the community to the degree that we're capable of doing so. And I think that's all that anybody really asks, for the most part. But yeah, so the money is not so important. The money is not so important. You can have so much money and be so miserable. And I've met people. 2016 was the first year I ever did ghostwriting, and I was ghostwriting for this lady who was out of Singapore, who was a multi-millionaire, and I was really nervous about doing it. And yeah, we are glad you stumbled into our community too. It's awesome having you here. We treasure all of our community members, truly, and praying with you and praying over you every single day, because I don't know what battles you're going through that day, and I don't know what battles you're going to face that day, but I know the Lord does. And if I can serve you with a prayer, how dare I not take that small amount of time to offer prayer for you? How dare I not do that small thing for you? So every day you guys get prayed over by name, and because I know everybody's fighting battles that I have no idea about. And I want to make sure that I'm in the trenches with you guys, fighting alongside you in the way that I can. Yeah, exactly. He has. I have seen him, be called upon in panic mode by many a streamer, asking for their help. And he gives it, because we've got the time to do, so he does. And encouraging people to start their channels, to share their talents and their gifts. That's part of what we do too, is recognizing that the difference between people who have money in the bank account and people who don't isn't that people with money in the bank account, and I'm talking lots of money, like your millionaires and your billionaires, your main battle is what to make for dinner. That struggle can be real, boomer. That struggle can be real, okay? That could be like an hour-long, drawn-out fight. But the real difference between the millionaires and the billionaires and the ordinary person isn't the money in their bank accounts. It's that the millionaire and the billionaire have figured out what they've got that's of value to other people, and how to package it and present it in such a way that the value is clear. The person who doesn't have that money doesn't know those things. It isn't that they lack value, because God gave us all talents and gifts. He gave to each of his children in equal measure blessings meant to be shared for the benefit of others. But a lot of us have our blessings on the inside, in our heads, in our hearts, in our gifts and skills and talents. But because of the way society is structured, we don't know how much value we've got. And we don't know, because we haven't been trained to see it as valuable, we don't know how to package it, mine it, refine it, package it, and present it in such a way that the value is made clear to other people. And so that is what keeps people poor. It's not that they don't have value, but they don't know what they have. They don't know how to make that value clear to others, and they don't know how to present it in a way that makes it desirable. So one of my life goals has been to level the playing field. And if you heard my song, The Phoenix, which if you haven't, I'll pop a link to it in chat. I did it with AI originally. Well, no, I mean, I did do an AI version that I put up on YouTube originally. And you can look for that version and listen to that if you choose to. But I put my own version because I wanted people to hear how it sounded in my head when the lyrics first came to me. And it was like a July, I was sitting in the living room and I realized, you can be crushed by this moment and you can give up and you can feel defeated and you can let that happen, or you can choose to rise up and fight back. So anyway, going back to what I was saying, is that we all have things to share and blessings to bring to the world. And it's when we stand up to share those that we really make the difference that we were born to make. And so one of my goals has been to help people find their gifts and their talents and leverage those to their advantage. In fact, one of the first things I've done, even though I haven't officially received my offer letter from Morris, is to reach out to their Economic Improvement Council and request a meeting, because I want to put on an entrepreneurship expo to attract people to the county, to attract people to Morris specifically, and to help the citizens there figure out what it is they've got and how they can step up and start serving other people with it and start making Morris a better place for having been in it. It's my goal with life, is to make the world a better place because I happened to be in it. A true story. When I was, 26 going on 27, I was out on a walk and I was so upset with my life and so miserable and so unhappy. And I really wasn't doing much of anything to serve other people. At that point in time, my mentality was more of the, what have you done for me lately? I wasn't going to serve anybody unless I knew for a fact that they either were going to serve me in return or had already served me. And if you'd already served me, then what was my incentive to serve? I was very selfish, very self-centered, and I did not prioritize relationships. I didn't really value them if they didn't include money, because my mindset at that age was all on the dollar bill. It was all about how much money I could get and how I could get it as fast as possible. So anyway, of course this led me to misery. It's a miserable way to live. And so I go on a walk that night and I turn the corner and I'm walking back toward my house and I hear in my voice, just as clear as day, as if somebody had been standing right beside me, 5 years, better make them count. And I knew what I was being told was that I had 5 more years to live. Now, grant you, I was 26, and if you're anything good at math, I am 50 now, so clearly I lived longer than 5 years. But that's not the whole of the story. I did actually die 5 years later. It's just not in the physical sense. The person I was died that day and never would come back. And I'm glad. She needed to die. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, so I heard that. I went home. I had this list since I was 13 of things I wanted to do before I died, because that was part of the recommendation. I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and at 13 it made a big impression on me, and I went and I did one of the things he recommended, which is write out all the things you want before you die. And so I had this list of probably like 100 things that I wanted to do before I died. And I went home and I tore that list up because none of those things on my list mattered anymore. And I wrote down the 5 things that actually did matter to me. And top of those lists was I wanted to fix my relationship with God, because I knew on that day that if the Lord had taken me that day, I was not going to heaven. I was definitely going to the hot place. And I did not want to go there. I had been joking for years about being the tour guide in hell. That did not sound so funny anymore. Trust me, when you're facing it, staring it directly in the face, it doesn't seem so funny anymore. So I wanted to fix my relationship with God. The second thing on the list was that I wanted to fix the relationship between my husband and my son, because they were at each other's throats constantly. And I knew that if I died that day without fixing that first, that they would not support each other. They would tear each other apart. And I didn't want that for my son. And the third thing on that list was that I wanted to pay off all of my debts and make sure that my husband and my son were financially secure before I went, so that they would be able to live better lives, even if I weren't there to help them. The fourth thing on the list, and this was more for my mother and my grandfather than anything, because they had always emphasized to me how important it was that I get a college degree, get a college degree, get a college degree. In fact, my grandfather's greatest disappointment before he died was that I did not have a college degree. In fact, he was sure that I never would get one because I gave birth to my son 2 weeks before my 20th, and he thought that as soon as a woman gave birth, well, that was all. She was done for. Which, it was just his way of thinking. And it was actually the thought of a lot of people in his day and age, was that motherhood and marriage were the end of a woman's ability to be free. So, at any rate, so I wanted to get a college degree, not for my sake necessarily, but more for their sake, to honor them. And then the last thing I wanted was to die knowing that the world was a better place for my having been in it. And I knew that at that point in my life, I knew that was not true. I was not doing anything to serve others. I was not improving the world. In fact, if anything, the world could be a darker place because of me. So I decided to start making those changes. Now, like I said, 5 years later, I did die, but that person did die. And it happened, I was crossing the street 2 weeks to the day before my 32nd birthday. I was crossing the street at an intersection, and I ended up getting hit by a car. And I'm fortunate because the light had just turned green. There was a giant truck blocking her view, so she couldn't see me at all. And she tapped the gas. Now, if I had been further away from her, or she'd had more chance to gain momentum, I probably would have ended up dead. But as it is, I got a love tap from the Suburban that she was driving, and I discovered that day that human beings are very good at flying, but our landing gear stinks. I landed on my hands and knees, crawled, tried to stand up, couldn't quite get there, ended up falling again, crawled, stood up, stumbled over to the sidewalk, and got myself out of the street. The lady pulled in the parking lot. She is in hysterics, right? She's got tears pouring down her face. She's in hysterics. She's totally freaked out. The guy beside her in the passenger seat, I figured out, was a car salesman. And this was her test drive of the vehicle. So he gets out of the car and he's freaking out all right, but not with concern for me. His career is flashing in front of his eyes. He's like, I know you have insurance. I know you do. I saw it. I saw it at the dealership. I know you have insurance. I'm sure he's thinking that we're going to sue the pants off of the dealership. He didn't know me, so it's an easy mistake to make. So I tell him, no, I'm fine. I don't need an ambulance. They absolutely insist. Ambulance gets there, checks me out. I'm fine. I didn't even hit my head or anything. So, I all I have to show for the whole event is scrapes on my hands and knees, and I know what God is telling me. I know He's telling me. And I heard Him say to me as I'm going, get it together. Your life is not an ownership option. It is a lease program. I can take it back at any time I choose. Get it together. Because I had been defying Him for about 5 months before that point, and only recently had caved, but I still wasn't going back to church, and He's like, get it together, girl. So I went to confession that night, went to Mass the next day, haven't turned back. I was done fighting God because He'd won. But yeah, so it makes for a miserable life when you're living that way, that transactional mindset that pursuing money creates. If you're prioritizing money in life, you tend to evaluate people on the grounds of how much they have or what they can do for you, and you stop seeing people as valuable in and of themselves. And so that's been the biggest mind shift change that has happened through God working with me over the years after my conversion. Because the me that existed that day, that rose up off of that pavement, is not the same girl that was struck by that car, for sure. And it changed everything. It changed how I see people. It changed how I think about life. Realizing that money is just a symbol for things, and you don't really need money for everything. Like, you seriously don't. You just need to earn the trust, build the relationship, and care about people, and step up to serve. And the doors that you want to open will open, and the things that you need will end up coming your way almost without you having to fight for them. We've been so blessed. When my husband started his guitar tubing journey in December of 2024, he didn't have but the Kona guitar. Like, there was nothing else. It was just that. And he was learning to make the most of it with a digital audio interface and his tech ability. And that was all he had to go for him. And he even started the YouTube channel just because he was going to be practicing anyway. So he figured he'd share his practice sessions with people. And he jumped into other people's community, and he let himself get known, and he let himself participate, and he started to open up and let people see who he was. And they just started pouring the love into him. They would send him guitars and, help him grow his channel and just help him every step of the way. And of course, part of his thing was encouraging them to embrace the suck. Okay, so you don't sound good today. So you don't like the way you sound today, but still get out there. Still make music. Still let people hear you. Let people see you. Let people know what you've got inside of you. And over time, that has inspired a lot of people in the community to step up and go ahead and create and start building their own channels. And, does that mean the YouTube space is a little more crowded? Yeah, but there's always been room. It's like books, right? You can't have too many books. You can always read more books. And you can't have too many podcasts, because not everybody's going to watch every podcast. Some people are going to want something different. And so yeah, that's basically my whole thing is everybody should just calm down. Hey, no worries. Exactly. Love is not a zero-sum game. Everyone can win. Hey, Malachi. Good to see you tonight. Yeah, we were just pontificating a bit on love, money, and the value of prioritizing relationships over money, and the value of stepping up to serve and giving what you have with what you got, even if what you have isn't much, or you don't think it's much. You're still benefiting other people when you step up to serve. And so yeah. And yeah, we are pretty broke right now, so the chicken thawed in the fridge is dinner for sure. But we're grateful to have the chicken, because there have been times when we literally didn't have anything in the cupboard, so I cannot even complain. We have rice, we have chicken, we have vegetables. We are good. We are good. Yeah, and you also missed the update. So last Friday I did the interview, and an hour after I finished the interview, they called to offer me the job. I don't have the official offer letter yet, but that is supposed to be coming after they finish the background checks. I think the background check was delayed because of the blizzard that hit them Monday. And so once we get that in hand, we've already got a lead on a 4-bedroom place that we want to rent. So yeah, shepherd's pie is delish, man. That's good stuff right there. Chicken, rice, and veggies, man. Main thing you eat. Yep. It's good stuff. It's good, solid food. You know, not gonna complain about it to me. Um, it's not gourmet, but nobody said it had to be. And then tomorrow is the last day of Mia's spring break, and she'll be starting daycare on Monday. So it will give me time to work on projects that I've had to put off and to get finished packing up with what we are going to take. We've already kind of decided how we're going to handle things. We're just waiting to see how it shakes up with our son, hoping he gets his place before we get ours so that we can help him move into that space and help him move over the furniture so that he can have that and have things to start off his new life with without having to worry about it. And then probably going to throw out quite a bit of stuff. So still got things to pare down, still got things to get rid of. So, but yeah, it's we're in a good place right now. I'm already I think I mentioned this earlier, but some of y'all may not have been here. I've already started the process of getting myself connected to people in the community. I reached out to the Stevens County Economic Improvement executive developer to talk to her about putting together an entrepreneurship expo to help people find the gifts and talents that they've got and really cultivate those. Because if we're going to attract people to Morris, it's a small town. And so, as my stepfather put it, why would somebody want to go to Morris? Well, it's because it's a small town. No, we're going to be leaving a lot of stuff behind. Mostly the furniture and even the mattress will probably be left behind. Now, the guitars, no, those are not going to be left behind. They may, we'll find ways to get them in. So, but yeah, a lot of the stuff is not coming with us. A lot of the stuff is going to end up finding a new home, either temporarily or permanently, one way or another. And we did check out to a 5x5 storage. Isn't much. It's like $26 a month online and climate controlled, so that may be something we do temporarily for a couple of months until we can come back around and get stuff. But as my husband put it, you know, renting a van to get it up there is renting a van to get up there is a lot of the stuff isn't even worth the amount of money we would spend on that. So it's about being economically sensible in how we approach things and make sure that we're not wasting money. Yeah, not even the groat telly. No, the groat telly, I still want to finish that thing. And hopefully we will get it done. I'm honestly hoping we can get that one done before we move, but it may have to wait until after. We're hoping to get a 4-bedroom so we have an actual dedicated workspace to use, but we'll see how that goes. The 4-bedroom that we're looking at right now is 1/6 of our income, so it's good. Yeah. It's the bigger furniture that's worth $50 or less that we can just replace. Yeah. And like I said, if our son can get into a place before we leave, then basically we'll just help him move that furniture over to his new place if he wants it, so that he's not starting over fresh with nothing. And so that when Mia comes to visit, there are things that she can use. We may split the unicorns up. You know, it may be a situation where Eddie takes one of the unicorns, Marissa takes the other, and we take the third. I don't know. Yeah, we have a giant unicorn trio, for those who don't know. Sparkles, Glitter, and, well, to be honest, Malachi, we didn't pay for any of the furniture. It was all fines. You know, it's found furniture somebody was throwing out. So it's not gonna be heartbreaking. Yes, Sparkles comes with us, period. She is what set things in motion. And we got her less than a month before Mia was born. And so for sentimentality reasons alone, she's not going to be left behind. Mystery was the next one. We'll probably let Ed take Mystery. And if we have to, and then if Marissa wants to take Glitter, we'd take Glitter, and if not, we'll find a way to incorporate her somehow. Sparkles, the unicorn. Oh, you need to know. Well, I think Sparkles actually is still in the bedroom. Sparkles is the unicorn. My big pink unicorn that we found 3 weeks before Mia Jane was born. Randy and I was preparing for a trip to London, my first international speaking gig. We were so broke, it was not even funny. We were down to our last $100. And I was trying to get everything I needed for the trip. And we go to Walmart to get some of the things I needed. Ah, yes, Randy is bringing me Sparkles. This is Sparkles. Sparkles. Sparkles the unicorn. Yay. Any rate, so we're in Walmart, shopping around, looking for stuff. It's like a day or two before Valentine's Day. And they have this bin of giant stuffed animals that are on sale for $15. And in one of those bins is Sparkles, the stuffed unicorn. And Randy plucks it out and shows it to me, and I'm like, oh, I love it. But we can't afford this. He's like, no, put it in the shopping cart. Like, no, we really can't afford it. He's like, put it in the shopping cart. And so I put it in the shopping cart, and we're shopping. We get through with all the shopping, and we're going to the checkout, and I start to put her back because I'm like, we really don't need to spend this $15. He's like, just check out with it already. And when I got home, I hadn't really known what I was going to talk about at London yet. I hadn't really nailed down my talk. But when I got home, I realized how often in life we have this dream. Because I had wanted a unicorn of my own since I was a kid, since I was 4. And, no, this one wasn't live. And I was the girl that tried to win the pony every year. Bought the raffle tickets for and everything. But how often in life do we want something deeply? We get it. It's available to us at a price we can afford. But we let ourselves be talked into being convinced we can't afford it. That, and so we don't check out. Even if we put it in the shopping cart, we'll take it back out and we'll say, oh, it's not the right time. We can't do this. I'll tell you, though, that there was something magical about checking out with Sparkles. Like, things changed in my life after that, for the better in a lot of ways. She really was quite magical. And I talked in London about that. Like, don't stop holding back on your dreams because you think you can't afford them. Don't let money hold your dreams hostage. Stop letting money be the reason that you give why you didn't do what you were born to do. That whole trip to London was literally a miracle. It was me having a connection to somebody who was willing to pay me to do some work for her. Enough money that I was able to get the tickets to London. I was able to book the hotel. I was able to be there. Because the speaking gig wasn't paid, but it was an important careers thing. Because the minute that you can say that you're an international speaker, Even if you've only spoken on one stage across the pond, it's still significant. It still matters on your resume. It still impresses people. First of all, that you have the connections, that somebody across the pond knows who the heck you are and wants to hear from you. And I was literally speaking in a room with like 50 different people from across the world, Nigeria, Germany, England, all over the place. So being in that room was important. And believing in myself enough to invest in that dream, to invest in sparkles, was also important. Yeah. And I think that too often we allow ourselves to be convinced, I don't have the money, so I can't do it. And that means what you're really doing is allowing money to dictate whether or not you get to live your dreams. You're allowing money to be your taskmaster rather than trusting that if God wants it done for you, He will open doors you cannot open. He will clear the way for all the things that you desire if you will just place your trust in Him. And make ways, because what? The Egyptians are at their back. The Red Sea is at their front. They're facing either being slaughtered by an army or drowned by the sea. There's nowhere else for the people of Israel to go. And then God steps into the picture. And suddenly He parts the Red Sea and they're walking across on dry land. The impossible is possible. You'd still be the head pressman for the local newspaper if you hadn't broken your neck in 2007? Yeah. That's, But, you know what? In having broken your neck and having gone through all that rehabilitation process, you now have a heck of a story that, a broken neck doesn't have to be the end. That there is hope at the end of the tunnel. There are possibilities for you that don't include being bedridden for the rest of your life. Yeah. You planned on retiring as their head pressman? Yeah. Well, and then God takes you in a different direction. And you don't always know where it's leading. And you certainly, it's just about surrender and seeing where He's taking you. Because one of the things I've learned on my journey is wherever He's taking you, even if it looks like He's taking you away from what you want most, He is leading you in the exact right direction to get to where you need to be. He's taking you on a shortcut, even if it doesn't look like it. Yeah. Yes, everyone in this guitar community has been an inspiration for you to continue on with your journey. Same here, I have been so touched and inspired by the way every person in the guitar community steps up and really cares about each other and takes care of each other and makes sure that each person is given the support and the love they need. And, that is, to me, the most amazing part of it. I think it is the best kept secret on the internet, the best kept secret on YouTube, certainly, the most positive corner of the internet. I think that that's really what I wish more people had available to them. That kind of positivity, that kind of support. If the churches were filled with communities that did what this guitar community does for each other, our churches would stay full. Because that's how love behaves. That's how love operates. When you're in real community, you do take care of each other. I grew up in, I thought community was basically boiled down to the Cheers theme song, where they always know your name and they're always glad you came. And then Randy and I got connected to the Worldwide Marriage Encounter community. And for the first time, I saw what real community was. Real community is dinners at each other's houses, and working together on projects. You know, like we helped a couple renovate their bathroom because they were our friends, and it was hard work, but it was fun to help them, and we were excited to help them. And it's that putting in the work together to make something better than any one of you could do on your own that really cements a community together and really makes it what it is. You know, one of the things I mentioned that I did ghostwriting for that multimillionaire, and she's the one who taught me, and it got reinforced with every multimillionaire I met that year. And I was like doing ghostwriting for 6 or 7 of them. And their stories were all the same. It was almost like it was on rails. They would chase after the money because they thought that the money would solve all their problems. They would chase after the money. They would disconnect from relationships. They would put people on shelves, assuming that, you know, those people will still be there when they get back. And then they would get to the top. They would reach the top of the income earning. They would have all of their dreams met. Dream car, dream house, dream spouse. And feel so utterly empty. And be almost suicidal, wondering, is this all there is? Because they've basically spent their entire life getting to that point, only to find out how empty it really is. But they wouldn't let go of it because they were afraid of who people would see them as without the money. They were afraid of how they would be looked upon and how they would be treated if they didn't have the money. And then inevitably, what would happen is they would lose that money. Like something would come along and totally cause their monetary empire to collapse. And they would be homeless and deeply, deeply in debt. Like one of them, she was $250 million in debt. No idea how she was ever going to pay it back. No idea how she was ever going to get out of the pit. And suicidal on top of that. And so she's walking the streets because she can't even afford to rent a place. And she runs into a friend who takes her in and takes care of her, helps her build back up. And so she builds back stronger eventually. But she also builds back on a foundation of understanding that she doesn't have to. She builds this time on a foundation of doing what brings her joy in life and doing what she's passionate about and what she's good at. But I recognize something. She still didn't quite have the concept that the relationships are more important than the money. And so, you know, moral of that story is that whole year I learned that the money doesn't matter as much as the relationships do. And you cannot put people on a shelf and expect them to still be there when you decide to return. Because that's not how people work. If you don't cultivate, if you don't pour into your relationships at every step along your journey, they're not going to be there for you when you're ready to stop doing whatever it is you've been doing. They're going to have wandered off and found people who value them and value the relationship they have with them, you know, and that I took that relationship to heart. So when I started building my business, I didn't give into the hustle culture. I refused to stop paying attention to my husband or to stop paying attention to my son and my granddaughter. You know, I refused to be the person who put my business ahead of those relationships. Did it hurt me financially? Yes. Did it slow down my progress? Yes. In terms of gaining financially. But my relationships remained and grew stronger. I didn't lose those. And so now, when I'm preparing to turn a corner to receive real blessings financially, I understand the value of relationships is worth more than any dollar that can ever line my pocket. I understand that every person in front of me has something valuable to offer the community and should be treated as a precious gem. So my mindset is very different because of the way that I chose to approach things after learning all that. And it is almost 8 o'clock. I have been yapping in your ear for about an hour and a half now. And I hope that you're finding value in the conversation. I hope that you're enjoying it. I do have pinned at the top our GoFundMe. If you happen to be able to toss a few coins our direction, it's always helpful. But just know that God will provide if you can't. If you have anything on your channel that you would like to promote or that you would like us to let us know about, please pop it in the chat. Yeah. I have learned to serve people even when the gratitude doesn't come, and to recognize that quite often your biggest blessing isn't going to come from the people that you give to directly. It's going to come from either the people who see and observe you giving or from God himself. And when it comes from God himself, it will take a surprising form, but you'll know. Because God set this universe up to reward generosity. Now, sometimes it may not look like that. Like, you may be the farmer that you have 100 seeds, you plant all 100. You spend hours tending those seeds with loving care, cultivating the ground, with fertilizer, cultivating everything, and a frost comes along and takes it. Just snatches it away. And you may think, well, I sowed in for nothing. But the reality is you didn't sow in for nothing. It's okay, I understood what you meant. I did. You didn't add to things for nothing. What's going to happen to those seeds that you planted and cultivated is that they're going to become fertilizer for the next season. So that next spring, the added cultivating that you did during the season of infertility is going to make it even richer. The soil is going to be even richer. And so when the harvest finally does come, it's going to be explosive in growth. I always say that if life happens to be shoveling manure your direction faster than you can keep up with it, you are being fertilized for the next season. Because that's what fertilizer is. It's basically manure. And, that's... So, each season of growth has its own stages to go through. Destruction always comes before construction begins. And, if you can't appreciate that, if you can't value that, you'll get discouraged. Oh, cool. We'll have to check those out, Malachi. Yeah. And, hopefully those guitar mods work out well. So at any rate, yeah, if you can't appreciate the season for what it is, and say thank you ahead of time. This is something God told me. Like, one day I was super miserable, and I went on this silent retreat, and I wasn't feeling particularly grateful at all. And the priest gave us this talk about how, there's this guy who always wanted to be something he wasn't, and he went through all these procedures to try and force himself to be taller than he was, and all he did was make himself miserable. And the priest ended the talk with, and so I want you to go to your rooms, and I want you to write a letter of thanks to God and really, really praise and bless him for all that he's done for you. So go back to my room, and I tell God, well, I'd like to thank you, but I don't see that I have anything to thank you for. And he told me, then thank me for what you don't want. That's like, why would I do that? Why would I thank you for what I don't want? It's like, because I'm working all of that for your good and my glory. And trust me on that. So I reluctantly thanked him for everything that wasn't going right in my life on that day. My unpaid bills, my electric bill that was late, my rent that was late, my job that was ending in 2 weeks, my boss that was making me miserable. And then God told me, okay, great. Now what I want you to do is spend the rest of this weekend focusing on serving other people. Just look for opportunities to serve. See an empty empty glass, go ahead and take it, and, see somebody that needs service, serve them. You find garbage on the ground, you pick it up and you throw it away. And I did that all weekend. All weekend. You love your plants? Snails ate your plants. All of a sudden, red, white, and blue hostess seeds are offered to you on sale. They are snail resistant. Oh, that's sweet. Very nice, Boomer. I love plants too, and I cannot wait to have space to garden. Oh, that is something I have really missed. But they have a gardening club there, so even if we can't garden in the yard that we have, I'll be joining the gardening club just so I have a chance to do some work like that. They have a nice horticulture area, some master gardeners and stuff, so I'm looking at getting involved in that. But at any rate, so I do what God tells me to do. I'm serving people all week long. I'm not looking for thanks. I'm not asking for thanks. I'm not even waiting for them to notice. I get through with all of that, and as I'm leaving the weekend, this woman stops me and she says, "You have no idea what you did and what it meant to me." She said, "All week long I serve people and nobody notices me. Nobody ever does anything for me." She said, "This weekend, every time I turned around, you were there doing something for me, and it just meant so much to me." And that really lifted me up. That whole weekend, just serving people, I felt better by the time the week ended. She said those words, and it was magical. It was just magical. And so I learned from that experience to thank God for all the stuff that I don't want in my life, because somehow I know that He's working it for my good and His glory, and that is good enough. And I can say that with all honesty. So I am truly grateful for every one of you that came on my chat tonight, every one of you that was present, every one of you that conversed, every one of you that lurked. If you're here, know that you're loved, know that you're appreciated, know that you are cared about, know that you matter. And if to no one else, you matter to me and to Jesus. And if you don't believe in Jesus, know that you matter to me. You have garden areas, but the planters on your porch bring you so much joy. Definitely at least do that. Yeah. Yeah, I have basically last summer I spent time composting all of our kitchen scraps into 2-liter bottles, so I would have like a portable composter. And so I'm planning to bring those and give those to the garden club. See if they can make something with it, or at least give the garden club here. But at any rate, thank you guys for spending time with me. It is 8 o'clock, and we have not had food yet, so I'm going to go ahead and call it a stream. Go have some food. And you guys, God bless you. May God be with you everywhere you go.